What about Dick Fuld specifically at Lehman Brothers?
Well, I think he will go down as a pretty defective executive.
But what I really want to do is I want to reach in, rip out their heart, and eat it before they die.
I had 60 calls with Dick Fuld from the time Bear Stearns went down until Lehman failed. I said, what you should be doing is you should be raising capital and you should be looking for a cornerstone strategic investor or working to sell the business.
And what did he tell you?
Well, he's an optimist, so he basically said, I've got plenty of capital, we don't have a significant risk.
Did we do everything right? We clearly did not. As I say, we had too many commercials. I myself did not see the depth and violence of the crisis. I did not see the contagion. I believe we made poor judgments and timing for the assets that we bought and for the businesses that we supported.
These were the words of Richard Dick Fuld, who on September 15, 2008, stood at the window of his Lehman Brothers office, high above the financial district of Manhattan, New York, gazing at the world he once dominated. This was the empire he had forged over 4 relentless decades. Now, it was all slipping away. For his intense gaze reflected the range and bewilderment of a man whose kingdom had crumbled in a span of days. Lehman Brothers, the 4th largest investment bank on Wall Street, had just declared bankruptcy, the largest in US history. The man, once feared as a gorilla of Wall Street, had fought off hostile takeovers and steered Lehman through crisis after crisis, now faced the grim reality of watching it all collapse. Why Lehman? He wondered. Why was Lehman allowed to fail when others were saved? It was a question that would haunt him forever. Until the day they put me in the ground, I will always wonder why Lehman was allowed to fail. This moment was not the beginning of the end, but the end of a journey that began in a gritty world of Lehman's trading floor decades before. Richard Fuld Jr. was born in 1946 into a middle-class Jewish family in the Bronx. His father worked as a garment manufacturer, and from a very early age, Fuld learned the value of hard work and resilience. These formative experiences fueled his competitive nature and his belief in loyalty, traits that would define his career at Lehman Brothers. After graduating from the University of Colorado, Fuld joined the US Air Force. Here, his aggressive nature was fully revealed in a defining moment. His military career ended abruptly after a violent altercation where he defended a younger cadet from bullying by a senior officer. I wasn't going to stand by and watch that, Fuld explained, showing a glimpse of the loyalty that would define his leadership at Lehman Brothers. You stand up for your people no matter the cost. This early moment of personal conflict foreshadowed Fuld's later style of leadership, loyal to a fault, willing to protect his team even when jeopardized himself or the company. Transitioning into finance, Fuld enrolled at New York University's Stern School of Business, working nights at Lehman Brothers while earning his MBA. His entrance into the firm in 1969 came at a turbulent time. Lehman was a tough place, no doubt about it. Fuld would later reflect, but I thrived in that atmosphere. It was a place where you had to fight to prove yourself. He wasn't just fighting competition on Wall Street, he was proving himself to Lehman's entrenched elite, many of whom came from very privileged backgrounds. During his early days, Fuld was frequently underestimated by Ivy League educated bankers. In one particular confrontation, a senior banker questioned his ability to handle high-stakes trade. You don't have the pedigree, the banker remarked. Fuld, his military discipline kicking in, replied coldly, pedigree does not make deals, results do. This was the moment Fuld realized that to survive on Wall Street, he had to be tougher, more ruthless, and more relentless than anyone else. Lehman Brothers in the 1970s was divided by internal power struggles. On one side were the Ivy League educated investment bankers who saw themselves as the elite, and on the other end were traders scrappy, aggressive risk-takers who believed in the power of markets over pedigree. Fuld, with his Air Force toughness and disciplined mentality, aligned himself more with the traders. They were seen as underdogs, but Fuld shared their hunger and their drive. The tension between the traders and the bankers intensified. In one of early boardroom confrontations, senior bankers questioned Fuld's aggressive strategies. "Your tactics could be dangerous," one banker warned. Fuld, his face expressionless, shot back. "Dangerous is sitting still while everyone else is moving. We need to be ahead of the game." This past struggle showed Fuld's tenacity, but also foreshadowed his unwavering approach, which would later be both his strength and his downfall. Fuld's mentor, Louis Glucksman, was a volatile, tough-as-nails trader who shared Fuld's disdain for Ivy League bankers, dominating Lehman's executive ranks. "They don't understand the real game," Glucksman would tell Fuld, shaping his aggressive approach. Glucksman was instrumental in shifting Lehman's culture from its blue-blood banking roots towards a fiercely competitive trading powerhouse. "We're here to win, not just to sit pretty," Glucksman often said. There was a pivotal moment in Fuld's early career when Glucksman confronted him about his leadership. "You need to make tough calls, Dick. No hesitation," Glucksman told him, pushing Fuld to adopt a more ruthless style. This conversation stuck with Fuld, and it became the foundation of his leadership at Lehman. Flashbacks to this early advice would later echo as Fuld faced similarly tough decisions in Lehman's final years. The internal struggle culminated in 1983 when Glucksman ousted CEO P. Peterson in a dramatic boardroom coup. Fuld witnessed firsthand the ruthlessness required to survive at the top. It was a fight for the soul of the firm. Fuld later said, although Glucksman's raid was short-lived, Lehman was sold to American Express in 1984, where Fuld absorbed invaluable lessons about control and loyalty. By 1994, when American Express spun Lehman Brothers off as an independent company, Fuld ascended to the top as CEO. "I was the last man standing," Fuld often joked, but behind that joke was a truth. Fuld had fought for his place, and he would fight to keep it. In 1994, when Fuld took over as CEO, Lehman Brothers was a company struggling for survival. Many doubted whether the firm could stand on its own without American Express's backing. "They wrote us off," Fuld said, "but they didn't understand that we are Lehman. We are fighters." Determined to prove the doubters wrong, Fuld embarked on an ambitious strategy of expansion and diversification. Lehman began to aggressively expand beyond its traditional bond trading roots under Fuld's leadership. The firm pushed into equities, asset management, and international markets, particularly in Asia and Europe. In 2004, Fuld made one of the boldest decisions ever, the acquisition of Neuberger Berman for $2.6 billion. This deal allowed Lehman to grow its wealth management division and compete directly with firms like Goldman Sachs. "This wasn't just about growth," Fuld said. "It was about positioning ourselves as the best." Fuld's relentless drive to build Lehman into a global powerhouse began paying off. By 2006, Lehman's stock price had soared nearly 800% and the firm was posting record profits. Fuld was hailed as one of Wall Street's most successful CEOs. Yet, behind this success, Fuld fostered a culture of intense loyalty. Executives and traders alike were deeply invested in Lehman's success. Stock options and bonuses were tied to performance, with many Lehman employees holding tens of millions of dollars in the company's stock. "We're in this together," Fuld would often tell his team. "When Lehman wins, we all win." However, this culture of shared success also created a dangerous blind spot. Those closest to Fuld rarely challenged his decisions, even when the warning signs of collapse began to appear. By 2007, Lehman Brothers was flying high. The firm posted record profits, and Fuld had steered it through multiple crises. "We've been through much worse," Fuld often said when faced with challenges.
Every one of you should feel confident and proud. Our firm is strong today, and we will emerge from this cycle even stronger. We've done it before, and we will do it again.
When Lehman's aggressive growth had come at a price, the firm had become heavily exposed to the real estate market, particularly through subprime mortgage-backed securities. Despite his confidence, Fuld began to sense the growing instability. Internally, Lehman's leverage ratio had soared, and there were whispers of concerns about firm's exposure to the housing market. Yet, Fuld doubled down. Internally, he suppressed moments of doubt, assuring his team that they could weather the storm as they had done before. These decisions stemmed from a deeper, unspoken fear of failure, which he had carried since his early days at Lehman. He was determined to prove the doubters wrong yet again. In the summer of 2007, when asked about Lehman's exposure to the housing market, Fuld shrugged off concerns. Do we have some stuff on the books that would be tough to get rid of? Yes. Am I worried about it? Not really. His confidence, once seen as a strength, now bordered on hubris. He believed that Lehman could weather any storm as it had done so in the past. By mid-2008, cracks in Lehman's foundation were becoming impossible to ignore. The firm posted a record $2.8 billion loss in the second quarter, the first loss in its 14-year history as a public company. The stock price plummeted and the panic began to set in amongst investors and employees alike. Internally, senior executives like Skip McGee began to question Fuld's leadership. "We need to make changes, Dick," McGee said during a tense boardroom meeting. McGee and others pushed for the removal of Joe Gregory, Fuld's a longtime ally and COO. "He was been with me through everything," Fuld replied. "I'm not going to throw him under the bus now." It was a fateful decision. By the time Fuld finally relented and removed Gregory, it was too late. The damage had already been done. By September 2008, Lehman Brothers was on life support. The firm had lost 94% of its market value, and potential buyers like Bank of America and Barclays were no longer interested in a deal. In a last-ditch effort, Fuld tried to secure a government bailout, much like the one Bear Stearns had received earlier that year. "We're too big to fail," he told his board. They would not let Lehman go down.
We did not need a capital bailout. We needed a liquidity bridge so that we could consummate the sale to a potential buyer. That is what we needed.
But Lehman lacked the necessary collateral to secure government support, and by September 15, 2008, the inevitable happened. Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy, the largest in US history. The collapse sent shockwaves through the global financial system, triggering a global credit crisis that would plunge the world into an economic chaos. Fuld was summoned before Congress, where he was accused of reckless management and personal greed. "You made millions while your firm fell apart," one congressman said. Fuld, for his part, remained defiant. "I lost nearly $1 billion myself," he replied. "No one wanted Lehman to survive more than I did."
When the company did well, we did well. When the company did not do well, sir, we did not do well.
But the public and media weren't swayed. The once feared gorilla of Wall Street had become the face of corporate greed and hubris. Lehman's failures wasn't just a financial disaster. It symbolized the excess of Wall Street and the fragility of the global financial system. In the aftermath, comparisons were quickly drawn between Fuld and other banking executives who managed to navigate their firms through the crisis. Jamie Dimon, the CEO of JP Morgan Chase, took a more conservative approach, steering clear of high-risk mortgage-backed securities. While Dimon was pulling back, Fuld doubled down, noted one Wall Street analyst. He believed too much in his ability to outlast the storm, and that was ultimately his undoing. After the collapse of Lehman Brothers, Fuld largely disappeared from the public eye. The man who had once been Wall Street's most powerful figures, feared and admired as the gorilla of Wall Street, now found himself cast into scrutiny. Fuld's post-Lehman years were marked by quieter endeavors. In 2009, he founded Matrix Private Capital, a wealth management firm catering to high-net-worth individuals. But the glory days of commanding one of Wall Street's titans were over. The shadow of Lehman's collapse collapse followed him everywhere. I'll never escape it, Fuld remarked to a close colleague years later. He sold off several personal assets, including a 71-acre Idaho estate at the price far below its market value. His public appearances became rare, and when they did occur, they were often in defense of his actions during Lehman's collapse. Lehman could have been saved, Fuld insisted in a rare interview in 2013. We were treated unfairly.
As to that, I believe the examiner's report distorted the relevant facts, and the press in turn distorted the examiner's report. The result is that Lehman and his people have been unfairly vilified.
His frustration was palpable, rooted in the belief that Lehman's failure wasn't inevitable, but rather a result of external forces and government decisions. Why were Bear Stearns and AIG saved, but not Lehman, he often asked. But these statements did little to sway public opinion. For many, Richard Fuld had become the personification of Wall Street greed and recklessness. His image as the ultimate survivor, the man who built Lehman into a powerhouse, had been eclipsed by the role he played in one of the greatest financial disasters in the history of Wall Street. Richard Fuld's legacy is one of ambition, loyalty, and hubris. He transformed Lehman Brothers from a struggling bond trading house into a Wall Street titan, marked by aggressive expansion, record profits, and an unwavering belief in his team. Fuld's loyalty and resilience earned him respect, with Lehman stock soaring nearly 800% between 1994 and 2007. A former executive noted, Fuld could fight through anything. However, Fuld misjudged the risks of the subprime market and ignored the early warning signs. He was blind to the scale of the problems, said a former Lehman executive. Fuld's rigid approach failed to pivot on time, contributing to Lehman's downfall and ensuing the global financial crisis. To his supporters, Fuld remains a brilliant strategist who built an empire from scratch. His critics see him as the embodiment of Wall Street hubris, whose ambition and refusal to heed warnings triggered the worst global financial crisis since the Great Depression. The debate over Fuld's role persists. Was he a victim of circumstance, or did his pride lead to Lehman's fall? His story reflects the fragility of Wall Street, where success and excess can quickly turn into a disaster.
However, what happened to Lehman Brothers could have happened to any financial institution, and almost did happen to others. Bear Stearns, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, AIG, Washington Mutual, and Merrill Lynch all were trapped in this vicious cycle. Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs also came under attack. Lehman's demise was brought on by many destabilizing factors: the collapse of the real estate market, naked short attacks, false rumors, widening spreads on credit default swaps, rating agency downgrades, a loss of confidence by clients and counterparties, and buyers sitting on the sidelines waiting for an assisted deal. Again, this is not just a Lehman Brothers story. It's now an all too familiar tale. It is too late for Lehman Brothers.